In the package, when you get your Clarity foot, you'll receive the foot, which of course was selected by shank size for your machine. You will also receive a metal washer, and we'll use that with the screw to attach it, and a spacer, which you may or may not need depending on your machine, but we'll cover it so you understand what it's for. To install your Clarity foot, step 1, remove your regular foot from your machine and set it and the screw aside. In order to maintain an even 1/4 of an inch stitching around your foot, your needle has to be dead center in the middle of the foot. Some machines have the capability of adjusting the needle position so that you are assured that your needle is in the middle of the foot. Other machines don't give you that capability. That's when this spacer comes in really handy to make sure that your needle is indeed centered in your foot. If your machine is incapable of adjusting needle positioning, that's when you'll use this spacer to slide it into the channel where your foot will connect to your machine shank. Now place the metal washer that came with your foot on the machine screw. Lay the foot down on top of the screw so that the inset spacer doesn't slide off. And now attach your foot to your machine. Now let's set the height of your foot. I like to use a ruler with a hole in it, and I place that hole over the needle hole on my throat plate. Now you're going to lower your foot, and I want you to see, in the case of this machine, how much clearance is between the foot and the ruler. We need to adjust that. I'm going to manually lower my needle down through that hole, making sure the foot is all the way down. And you'll see how it pushes the foot down slightly. I want to make sure that my foot is resting right against the ruler. Now I can tighten up my foot and I'll be ready to start stitching. How to adjust for skipped stitches. Number 1, make sure you're using quality needles and threads in your machine. Number 2, make sure you have cleaned your bobbin area to ensure quality stitching. And number 3, make sure you've threaded your machine correctly and the bobbin is also inserted correctly. If all else fails and you're still having problems, let's adjust your foot. Sometimes this is an all too familiar sound. And that sound can only mean one thing. Your machine is skipping stitches. Sometimes it's just a couple like this, and sometimes it doesn't seem to stitch at all. Let's take care of that. Sometimes it's the very loft of the batting that we're using that will cause the skip stitches. I'm using a wool batting here, which is really lofty. When I lower my foot, you can see how it pushes the fabric down, but I'm going to unscrew the foot screw just a little bit and push that foot down just a smidge more so that I'm getting good contact with each stitch. Just like that. That's all it takes. You'd be surprised what a difference that's going to make. After lowering your foot, let's take it for a test drive. And you do that by simply pushing the fabric back and forth and making sure that the foot is not scraping up the fabric as you're going along. That would mean that your foot was too far down. Now we're ready to stitch again, now that the foot has been adjusted. Let's see what a difference it's going to make. And we were successful, not a skipped stitch in the bunch. But we'll test it a little bit further just to be sure. Okay, we know it's sewed great going straight. Let's try a little bit of free motion work and see if we still have luck. So there's one feather. Let's try another one. No skip stitches yet. Let's grab the ruler and see if we can do another long ruler line and still have success. And here we go. The machine is purring, the stitches are perfect, and we're ready to go on our project. So the moral of this exercise is always use the same fabric you're going to use in your quilt and the same batting you're planning on using, and do a test piece first just to see how it's going to stitch out. If you need to make some adjustments, it's much easier on this small piece compared to your quilt, and no ripping involved.